In today's Leeds news, update on the manager hunt as Argentinian Gerardo Martino is linked. Updates on the Nuno Espirito Santo situation. Philippe Clement of Monaco also linked. And details in the vetoed Alfred Schreuder saga. Morning, folks. Ger here at The View on Valentine's Day, the 14th, and it's a good day. Alfred Schreuder did not get the Leeds job, so whatever happened yesterday, it worked. I'm joking, tongue in cheek. Yeah, I got a bit of stick yesterday, but that's okay. It's okay. There are times where I think Twitter Leeds fans need to be listened to, and there are times when we don't. And the club needs to identify which of those are which. The badge was one, the manager was another. So, in brief news, before we get into anything, Jesse Marsh looks like he's all set to become the new Southampton manager, which means he'll be back at Ellen Road in 2 weeks to play Leeds. Everyone thinks he's going to beat us, but we'll have to wait and see where we are in that situation. But we'll crack on. We'll start in. There's a bit of news around the manager situation, but there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that looks a bit off and a bit weird. Fabrizio Romano tweeting last night that apparently Alfred Schreuder was nowhere near close to the Leeds job, when it just looks like Radrizzani is feeding him information and feeding him lines to say now. He appears to be his go-to in the know person now. So it's a weird day yesterday. But they seem to have backtracked. We'll get to Schreuder at the back end of the video. We'll start with the new stuff and what's been popped up. And according to TNT Sports, so massive grain of salt with this one. Leeds are looking at former Barcelona, Argentina, and Mexico and Newell's coach Gerardo Martino. Lionel Messi apparently once described Martino as being absolutely great. So there's a glowing endorsement of the manager. And he did manage Mexico. His most recent job was managing Mexico at the Qatar World Cup, where they didn't qualify from their group. Not necessarily a reflection on the manager, but didn't qualify from the group and currently out of work. To give you a bit more detail about him, his win percent ratio is 52%. As I said, managed Newell's, managed Barcelona, managed Atlanta United in the MLS in their emerging season, in their first expansion season, and actually won the MLS Cup in his last game with them before he left their first ever MLS Cup. He is known for being very kind of expansive in football in terms. His win percentage ratio across the board is 52%. If you break it down over the last couple of jobs, Mexico, his win percent ratio was 63%, even though they didn't get out of the group stage at the World Cup. Argentina was 65% and Barca was 67%. So decent track record from the guy there. Not a young coach by any means, but neither was Marcelo. So there you go. Moving on, Fabrizio Romano is claiming that Leeds want to keep their talks in-house as secret. As I said, he also mentioned that Alfred Schreuder was not close to being the Leeds manager at any point, which doesn't make any sense because from what we know and what was seen, according to Phil Hay on his podcast yesterday, Schreuder was not only seen with the directors, he was seen touchline after the game against Manchester United with the Leeds staff. Now, if that's not telling you what's about to happen, I don't know what is. He was also pictured and was seen at the Leeds team hotel after the game as well, and went for dinner with Orta. So there's a lot going on here. We'll get to that more in detail, but Romano is claiming that Leeds are keeping their talks secret, that Steven Gerrard's name has been mentioned, but he can't give any more detail on that. That would be an horrendous appointment, by the way. He should never be on a Leeds shortlist ever. This is Victor Orta trying to fix people again, and it needs to stop. My take on Victor Orta, by the way, at the moment with everything that's going on, is that he needs to leave Leeds, and the Leeds need to put somebody else in place. He might be a great scout, but he needs to stop being involved in decisions around the club and the running of the club is done. He's just... his pride is getting in the way. It's really getting in the way. So yes, Romano says it's all in secret. Leeds aren't leaking anything out, which is just, they haven't stopped the last week. So I don't know. We'll read into that. Nuno Espirito Santo, moving on top of Nuno. We've got a bit of stick. And as I said yesterday, he wasn't high on my priority list of potential next Leeds managers because he wanted something exciting. Nuno's a safe option. I wanted to kind of bring out a couple bits of context because his last season at Wolves has been talked about. He's still talked about in Wolves circles as a successful manager. He's still seen as their highest Premier League finishes. Apparently, the last season at Wolves was during COVID. And during that point, his family were in Portugal, and seeing his family became nearly impossible with COVID restrictions. So he wasn't back and forth to Portugal, couldn't see them that often. And apparently had a detrimental effect on his mental health as well. And he was really struggling with just being in England away from his family for so long. And that came true in his work, and apparently that's what ultimately caused his downfall at Wolves, which was his personal life. His spell at Spurs was obviously a failure, but it was going to be a failure from day one. When he went into Spurs were very outspoken and confident about getting in bigger managers. And when they didn't happen, they hired Nuno, but it was pretty clear that as soon as they got a candidate they wanted, they were going to sack Nuno and bring somebody else in, which Conte came in, they did that. But and better managers have failed at Spurs. It's a basket case of a dressing room, Spurs. Jose's failed in there, Conte's struggling in there, so he didn't get them relegated, so but according to 90 Minutes, Leeds would have to pay an £8 million release fee in order to get Nuno in from Al Ittihad in Saudi. Nuno's contract runs until the summer of 2024. So what's that? Next year, not a year. So an $8 million buyout. So might be tricky to do, especially if Leeds are looking at somebody coming in on an interim basis. Moving on then, and this is a kind of an out there one. According to De Telegraph from France, Leeds are interested in hiring the Monaco head coach, Philippe Clement. Clement was part of the Belgian World Cup team in the 1998 World Cup in France. Known for having a very good track record. He has a reputation for going full out in all of his competitions and putting strong sides. He also likes to push through young talent. He's a very strong advocate of young players, which Leeds have an abundance of right now. He joined Monaco in January 2022. He had success in Belgium. I know Schreuder had some success in Belgium, but won title as well. However, he won a title with a team that doesn't normally win a title over there with Genk. And Genk won the title once, and he won 2 titles with Bruges, which he probably should do because Bruges win titles over there. However, when his first season in Monaco, he took them to 3rd place in Ligue 1, and he got them to the semi-final of the French Cup. Currently, this season, he has them 3rd again in the league. They're out of the French Cup, but they are 3rd in the league. So he's doing relatively okay. However, according to De Telegraph, they reckon the chances of Clement coming mid-season to Leeds are slim and none. He is a manager Leeds are interested in apparently and are talking to, but looks like a similar situation to Areola and would like a fresh start at a full season. They all can't do that. They all can't get that job if they want the job that they want and they want to wait until the summer. They can't all wait till the summer. Only one of them's going to get it. So we'll have to wait and see. And then moving on, finally, let's talk about Alfred Schreuder and what happened yesterday. And according to Dutch journalist Mike Verwij, he said that Radrazani is the one that pulled the plug on Schreuder. He said that Victor Orta was the one who greenlit the move and was greenlighting the appointment of Schreuder. He stepped in the 11th hour to pull the plug. Now, what it says is that I believe that Schreuder had the relegation experience to save Leeds. Now, if you're waiting until the day before everyone's expecting this man to be announced as the manager and you're vetoing your director of football, there's a problem there. The director of football should never be making a decision for the club. It should be a recommendation to the owner or director and then them making that decision. So it shouldn't happen from Orta. Maybe that's why he went to the arcade afterwards and hopped on his little bike. Maybe he was upset that he didn't get what he wanted. Another pet project, another broken toy for Orta to try and fix. It's becoming boring at this stage with that kind of stuff. So as I said, rather than believe it, Orta, however, was very convinced by Schreuder, having spoken to him, and wanted the manager put in place. We have been talking about the Leeds board being quite split at the moment, and it seems to be a bigger split with Orta now happening. Somebody stepped in. Maybe it was Rads. Maybe it wasn't. We all know Rads watches Twitter quite a lot. Maybe the huge backlash that went out on Twitter last night was what changed his mind, or yesterday what changed his mind. I would say that's more likely. Than him all of a sudden at the 11th hour deciding you don't have the relegation experience after spending days with the guy. I would also say we probably now know why they went to Holland and they didn't go to see Slot at all. They went to see this guy. So conspiracy theories are plenty. I don't like what's going on there at the moment. I don't trust them, if I'm being very honest. I will never take away from Radrazani what he did for Leeds, getting us back in the Premier League and giving us Marcelo Bielsa. But there were rumours of this kind of stuff going on with Orta at Middlesbrough before he was turfed out of Middlesbrough. As I said in one of my tweets yesterday, I feel that at Leeds he got more time than he probably deserved because of a couple of good young signings. There's a lot of misses, but a couple of good young signings. And he had Bielsa for 3 years, which pretty much gave him 3 years of, great football and happy fans. So for me, there's a problem there and needs to be looked at by Leeds. So we'll have to wait and see. Today could be a big day. I keep saying that every day, but at some point it has to be true, doesn't it? We'll have to wait and see, but fingers crossed Leeds do the right thing. Fingers crossed Leeds make the right appointment and we get one in the next couple of days. And it shouldn't be Steven Gerrard. Ever. Folks, thanks very much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for more Leeds news. Happy Valentine's Day.